What's up, everybody? This is In the Pocket, where we talk about the things and people around sports that you want to talk about. I'm Big Bob. That's Maestro. Maestro, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing outstanding. It's beautiful spring 2026. I know you're dealing with some nice, beautiful t-shirt and short weather up there, brother. How you feeling?
I'm I am doing great with this negative 41 wind chill up here, but I
Ooh,
love it. I love. But
ooh,
hey, you're
ooh.
right. It's still short and t-shirt weather for me. But I do gotta say, I have to admit, I did text my wife, told her I'm gonna have to wear long sleeves. I'm gonna have to be an adult and wear long sleeves tomorrow. But I can
Long
definitely,
sleeves and shorts. That's
yeah.
the adult thing to do.
Yeah, man. But no, it. I've never had a cold, like I've never felt cold like this is cold here. Like my
Right.
hands, I was outside for I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. I thought about shoveling because I did get stuck
Uh-oh.
driving home from work. Or I stopped at the gym and I once I got here, I got stuck in the driveway, halfway in the driveway, halfway uh, in the middle of the street. Neighbor came home, walked over to me, seen me struggling. He goes, "You you just hanging out or you stuck?" Like
You're just hanging out. I
first
love it.
neighbor I've
You
met,
just
first
hanging
neighbor I've
out.
had any interactions with here, and that's how we start our relationship. Like, yeah, I'm stuck.
So now
But
for the rest of your existence, that's going to be his story. Yeah, man, my man
yep.
was out there in the middle of the street just hanging
With
out in the snow.
who is this idiot driving a sexy Mustang in the middle of winter in Minnesota? But no, I mean that cold, like the cold. It once you come inside, it's a cold that hurts, and it hurts for a while. But no, anyways, yeah, I do love it though. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But let's jump right in, Maestro. We got some good questions
Yeah.
this week. Starting off with one from a new follower of us. His name's Gary, and he wants to know if we think J.K. Dobbins is going to play in
So
the AFC
right in it.
Championship
Right.
game.
Well, and I'll tell you something, man. Gary, appreciate you, Gary. That is a first class question that because of how we sort of look at our view of sports here, Gary, that you at least forced me. I'm not gonna speak for Big Bob, but you forced me to kind of take a different angle about this thought because I'm not a coach in the NFL. I'm sitting here on a camouflage chair. I don't have a clipboard. I don't have a roster on the board. So obviously, and I'm not going to pretend to be with those guys who tell you what every coach should do because they don't know either. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna take it this way because it's really such a good question because it makes you think about something. Here's a team without their regular starting quarterback coming up with, if they win, they'll have 2 games left in the season. Probably the two biggest games of a lot of these players' careers.
yeah,
And so I have to look at it this way. If I'm Sean Payton with my ego, yes, I've won the Lombardi Trophy already. Am I desperate enough to prove that I'm good enough after I was embarrassed when I first took over the job in Denver? Because everybody remembers the stuff he said about the previous administration. He talked about how poorly the organization was running, blah, 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 whatever, and then went out and Miami handed him a 70-20 loss, right? So but now he gets to say, look, I know my plan works. I'm proving it right now. So he can actually say, is it worth it just to get my team to the Super Bowl to prove I'm right, or to get to the Super Bowl and then win the Super Bowl? And I don't know his mindset. I've heard stories about how he kind of reacts to things and how he likes to win, but I've heard some other stuff too that I don't have enough confidence in what I've heard about it. So I'm going to leave that alone. So I'm going to say this. If I want to get to the Super Bowl, J.K. Dobbins has taken over half of my offensive snaps, but he's only been about league average in touches. So that means he doesn't carry that much weight in my offense. I'm probably looking at, give or take, maybe 12 to 15 or 17 possessions, depending on how the Patriots play. So 12 to 15, maybe 17 possessions. That might be a total of, give or take, quick math in my head, maybe 58 to 65 plays around a minimum. So now, how much of that is a injured J.K. Dobbins going to do for me to help me get over this hump with this new quarterback, or do I want to save him and try to get through this game to
Yeah.
have him for the Super Bowl because I want to win it? And that's how I would approach it, Gary. Now, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to hand it over to my man. The deal is, if getting to the Super Bowl is that important, then you run him out now, right? Let the cards fall where they may.
See what
It's not
happens. See
uncommon
where he's at.
Yeah, exactly. It's not uncommon for cats to be signed 2 days before the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
to fill in position. So that's not that uncommon. But again, really good question, really good timing on the question too, because we're talking about the strategy past the strategy. And that's something that is really hard to put a finger on, because you have to know the mindset of not just the player, but the coach and organization too. So great question. So Bob, what would you do, buddy?
I look at it as he wants to play because he's practicing. They expected him to be out for the entire season. He is better than RJ Harvey. Now, again, Harvey is a rookie, but at the end of the day, J.K. Dobbins is the main guy there. And I think what they should do, depending on how long Sean Payton thinks he's going to continue to coach, and I don't think there's been rumors of him planning to retire anytime soon. He has a good young core there. I think they need to save J.K. Dobbins from himself and not rush him out there. He's clearly not 100%. He's not going to be 100%. And now you're going to risk him potentially injuring himself further and being injured heading into next season. How long is the injury going to take to recover? What if he makes it worse? Blah, 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 blah. You're down your star quarterback already. Jarrett Stidham, if you think he's going to go out there and light the world on fire, have J.K. Dobbins in your back pocket. But I think they need to ride RJ Harvey. I think they need to save Dobbins. And like you said, if you win this game, if you somehow win this game, because nobody's given them a chance. Nobody's giving them a chance against this Patriots team, especially with Bo Nix being out. If you win, you get him a rest for a week and a half. So, and then let him play in the Super Bowl if he's 100%.
Gotcha.
If you think you have a chance of winning the Super Bowl. Now, I think if I was a coach, all coaches are in win now, no matter what. That's what got Brian Flores fired from the Dolphins. It was win now. And which I want to throw a topic in at the end here about coaches and former head coaches and stuff like that. So try and remind me in case I forget. But
gotcha, boss.
I do think for his sake and for your long-term goals, you need to save him from himself, and I think you need to keep him on the bench unless you absolutely need him. Activate him if you have to. Keep him there in case if RJ Harvey goes down with an injury. I can't think of who their backups beyond that is at this moment, but keep him as an absolute emergency backup. Yeah. Keep him as an emergency backup or something like that if he's feeling good enough to play. But I don't think they should be running him out there if he's 80 or 90%. But again, if they win, Super Bowl is a little bit of a different story. But I don't want them to risk his future because of them wanting to get him out there sooner than he needs to be. But at the same time, I'm going to contradict myself like I do every single week. I do think it's the player's right. If he wants to go out there and play, let him play. Which again, which I do want to say contradicts me saying they need to save him from himself. But it's one of those things. I think he will be RJ Harvey's backup in the to answer Gary's question. I think he'll be RJ Harvey's backup for the AFC Championship game, and then I think he will start the Super Bowl if they pull out the win in the AFC Championship game.
And see, that's why I love the way we answer the question differently, because of how we sort of view the games and the approaches. And Gary, that's why your question is so awesome, because it actually brought out a string of a couple other things. So I'm going to cross-examine my partner here with a couple of things. I will remind you about the coaches thing for later, but the attitude toward running backs now is take them in, ride them hard, put them up wet. If they die, they die. They're
We'll find another suitable one in the 5th or 6th round.
Exactly. For every Derrick Henry, there's probably 138 other cats that might get 8 games in a season, right?
Why am I going to pay Derrick Henry $15 million when I can pay these two guys $3 million and $4 million and save myself somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, granted, Derrick Henry is a generational talent, and of course, for both of our arguments, we just sort of shot ourselves in the foot. But again, but you know what though, it sort of makes the point, right? Like, what other running backs do you see? Let's talk about Pacheco, maybe. Let's talk about
Barkley.
The cat from the Pacheco for the Chiefs, the guy from the Rams, Puka Nacua, Caffrey, right? But see, those three are different than the Derrick Henry because they're designed to be a multi-attack unit unto themselves, right? Wide receiver, running back, etc. So that being said, I'm curious if the mentality is, you know what, we don't care what happens to him. We just want to get through this season as best as we can. We want to win no matter what, and we can always get another running back later. If that is indeed the program, I'm calling it program instead of organization, but it's the organization decision.
I do want to make sure. I do want to make sure that we there's no confusion or anything. Puka Nacua is a receiver. I know he has lined up in the backfield a little bit, kind of just he's a scary guy. He's a scary guy out there. You got to keep an eye on him wherever he is.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I know we were talking about running backs and you threw Puka Nacua in there. I just wanted to make sure.
I sure did. That's on me just because, and once again, it shows you how little I look at depth charts because I believe some cats are just positionless football players, and he's one of those guys. So yeah,
there are a lot of them out there. We call him a wide receiver. We'll even go back to when we really started talking about positionless. Back when you had like a Jimmy Graham, he wanted to get paid like a wide receiver. And because he was lining up everywhere, because he was a mismatch. He was very athletic, and he was a mismatch. So you have all these positionless guys out there. You have entire defenses you have safeties who can line up at corner or linebacker, and if you need to, they'll come down and rush the edge. Like it is what it is. It's if you don't look at the depth charts and stuff like that, which sometimes can be pointless. Teams have to put them out there. Doesn't mean doesn't mean that's what it's going to be. It is what it is. But yeah, sorry about that, Maestro. I just want to.
No, please, no, sir. I'm glad you did that because listen. What's our rule? Always fact check us. All right, always fact check us on that. And I definitely appreciate that view because it helps me understand. I probably watched them only play, including replays. I think I probably only watched them play a total of 7 times this year. So it's not like I played that kind of detail to like what the Rams were doing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm bringing up one thing about the Broncos having a new quarterback. Now, again, and again, I'm going to put a pin in myself here. If anybody else but the Patriots, I'll be worried about it because the Patriots play mistake-free possession football, and so they could probably overcome this. But you're talking about playing a quarterback you have no film on. With the current team, the current setup, and for a lot of teams now I know the brains in the game now are on the defensive side of the ball because more people can probably name defensive coordinators than they can name offensive coordinators. As a matter of fact, I want to challenge our listeners to don't Google anything, just off the top of your head, see which position which coordinators can you name, from offensive coordinators to defensive coordinators to special team coaches, okay? Because they do not get the coordinator mark. They only be called coaches. So see how many you can name. And I'm going to say probably most of you will probably name more defensive coordinators than you will name offensive coordinators. I'm really curious to see how you do that. And just keep in mind, just because the head coach might be calling the plays, that does not mean that they're the coordinator. So that's
Yep.
something else to think about here. But that being said, Big
We
Bob,
we call those guys micromanagers, and they need to let their coordinators do their jobs.
exactly, right, exactly. And with some people, it actually works. How about look, see Ben Johnson in Chicago. Anyway,
Yeah.
but you know what? The idea here. Do Do you really feel it's a negative for Denver having a quarterback? And if anybody can put together a system in a week, Sean Payton can do it, arrogance or not. And if anybody can do a system around a quarterback that might have some shortcomings, no pun intended, talking about Drew Brees being 4'7", you know,
on
too
in
soon,
heels.
too soon. Okay, good. I'm good. So do you think that's I kind of view that as a plus for Denver in this situation more than a negative. What say you, brother?
Yeah, it's tough because they're all pros. But me and you talk
Yes.
about how many times have we talked about it on the podcast where there's probably only 7 to maybe you can probably name 10 guys you could build a team around at quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of falls off hard from there. You look back at a few years ago, whenever the Eagles made their run with Foles, whenever Wentz went down.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of people probably expected Foles to do that, except Foles himself. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think we have enough on Stidham to know he needs some help. So this isn't a guy who let's take a it's going to hurt my heart a little bit, but everything about the Vikings is generally negative. It feels like Max Brosmer
Oh
coming in.
wow. Good
Woo!
call.
What a
Good call. Good call.
debut from
Good. Yeah.
a football player. Max Brosmer against the Seattle Seahawks. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
know. But sometimes you have that guy. I think with Stidham, because he's not a rookie, he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have a whole. I don't think he has anything to prove. Max
Right.
Brosmer had a whole lot to prove as a rookie for somebody that nobody believed in. So he went out there and tried to make plays, and he made some plays that were all-time not top plays in the history of the NFL, I think. But I think that Stidham, because he is a veteran, he's not brand new to the game. At the pro level, I think he knows he needs to go out there and play mistake-free football. I think he's going to be super cautious, but I think that's going to come back to hurt them. I think he's probably going to play as mistake-free as possible, but
Gotcha.
they're going to need to open up the field a little bit. And I just don't necessarily see them having the weapons needed for Stidham to succeed against the Patriots.
Gotcha.
But anything can happen. Anything can happen. The Patriots can go in there and completely underestimate him, and he could go in there and look like Peyton Manning.
You know what?
Obviously,
Any other team, I'm going to push back. Any other team, I'm with you on that last sentence. I don't think the Patriots do that. I think they prepare to their standard to play their kind of ball. I don't think they overlook anybody. I mean, I don't think, again, it's just they haven't played that way this year. I'm going to say it that way, and speaking as, need we remind our loyal listeners and obviously the most intelligent listeners of all the sports podcasts, my favorite team, it's really hard to see them get so good so fast, and we've had so many draft picks ahead of them, or never mind. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm sorry. I don't even. Whatever. Yeah, go Jets. I'm back. I'm back.
I don't know. You sound a little sad, so we'll move on. Gary, appreciate the question. Appreciate it.
Gary, great, awesome question, brother.
The next question we got from our guy B-Ron. Has he been on? I think he's been on every episode except maybe the last episode, which again I tried something new and it didn't work out too successfully.
What? B-Ron is always with us. We love you, boo.
Yeah. So the Bills losing in the playoffs, was this their best chance to get to the Super Bowl with no Chiefs and Ravens in it? I Go ahead. You go ahead first, Maestro. I
No, no,
hate
no, go
I
ahead, go.
hate
Yeah,
it.
no,
Okay.
no, no,
Uh
no. You already wound up, baby. Get it, get it, get it.
I think with this owner has proven that he runs a dysfunctional organization, and as long as he is there, as well as the Dallas Cowboys with Jerry Jones, as long as they are there, the success will never be there. Again, yes, shout out Jerry Jones for his 3 Super Bowls in the '90s. You haven't been there since. You haven't won any. You haven't come anywhere close to winning a Super Bowl since, and you were the reason why. I can't. Pagula, I believe is how you say his name. He is a. I don't like when the ownership comes out and talks so negatively, especially for
Right.
after somebody did so much for your organization.
Agreed.
I would not be surprised to see Josh Allen walk on his next contract, whenever his next contract is up.
Wow.
Um,
Bob bringing the fire.
I do believe that there, and I believe he is somebody who would not. I believe Josh Allen is somebody who is loyal,
Mhm.
but I think at some point when somebody is so bad to you, sometimes you just break and you got to walk away. I think with McDermott being fired, I think Josh Allen could reconsider his time in Buffalo, which would be a good thing for him. Obviously, a terrible thing for Buffalo. But when your
Oh,
owner is
horrible.
so free to say the things that he said, same with Baltimore. When your ownership is so free to talk so negatively about somebody who's done so much for your organization over the last 18 years, yeah, you
The
don't deserve
H,
success.
man.
So
What
I
the
do.
H? I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah. So
I didn't understand that at
yeah,
all, Big Bob.
for me, I think this was their best chance because I think this owner just screwed himself. And I don't see the Buffalo Bills, especially with the Patriots now coming out in that particular division. I believe that this was the Bills' last chance because Josh Allen is going to leave once his contract is up.
Wow. Bob with the fire. See, in my mind, Allen was going to be almost like Brady. Like he would ride it all the way out,
Uh
at
huh.
least want to bring one to Buffalo because I really think it means that much to him, the way he talks, the way he acts. And I don't know behind the scene, I can't say. So here's one of my first mea culpas. I thought that the Steelers were going to get rid of Tomlin. I'm sorry. Trust me. I'm coming back to the Bills. B-Ron.
Don't let anybody pretend like Tomlin actually walked away from that team. I think he was given
Yeah,
an
right.
ultimatum and decided to walk away versus being fired.
And oh, by the way, that's what I want to believe too. Except I'm going to say this. Here's my mea culpa. And if I'm wrong on this mea culpa, I'm just wrong on the mea culpa. 3 independent sources in 3 different situations that are really tied to the league said that the reason the owner was so emotional was they wanted him back. The ownership wanted him back for the 20th season. And he insisted no. And now I'm saying that because I thought I agree with Bob on the record. I said, yeah, I believe the ultimatum was given. He said, you know what? Don't worry about the ultimatum. I'm out of here. But apparently it was they really wanted to talk about him coming back for the 20th season because it meant that much to them to give him one more year with qualifications at the end of that year. And then maybe that might have been where he said, you know what, if I got what I've done, if I got to prove myself for another year, you should just get rid of me now. Maybe that was his attitude about it. I don't know. Because again, we don't know I know I don't know the whole story. And so, but that being said, the way that the Steelers operate with how they pick their coaches. And trust me, let's listen, be around. I'm coming back to you. I promise. I'm coming back to you. I promise. I'm not going to make this a whole thing of like, the whole thing of how Pope Martinez the 7th got elected Pope in 1417. I'm not going to do that on you. So here's the deal. You remember, I think if I say Mean Joe Green, I think a lot of people know who we're talking about, right? In terms of being a legend with the Steelers and legend in NFL.
Yeah.
I think. So he transitioned from being like a lot of Steelers players, including including Lord mercy, the oh Lord mercy, who was the first who was the coach that won the Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts
Tony Dungy.
with Peyton Manning? Thank you. Tony Dungy was the backfield for the Steelers for their last 2 Super Bowl wins under Chuck Noll. Transitioned from that to being a coach. Chuck Noll says, "You know what? You got a chance to do this. Why don't you do this?" And the Steelers did that with a lot of their players. Mean Joe Green was one of them. So the story, as it goes, Mean Joe Green went to one of the captains of the team when Chuck Noll was out of the picture, and they were looking for the next coach that eventually became. I'm dropping the Steelers coaches right now like nobody's business. Your boy that won the Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger. See, I'm the
Bill
Jets
Cowher.
guy. I can't stand the Steelers. That's
Bill
my
Cowher.
problem. I can't stand.
Are you talking about Bill
I can't stand the Steelers. Yes, Bill Cowher. So this captain went in to speak to the Rooney family, a representative, to sort of advocate and push for Mean Joe Green to become the new coach. And so apparently the conversation went something like this. And oh, by the way, I think this player has said this publicly. So this is not anything out of school. Merle Hodge. He said that Rooney closed the door.
He says anything.
Yes. So he said Rooney closed the door and said, "Appreciate your words for Mean Joe, but we don't want to do that to him." And the bulk of the conversation, I'm going to get it back to the Bills, was Rooney realized at some point he would have to fire Mean Joe Green. And he was such a legend at that particular point. He wanted him to maintain that apotheosis status with the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and that he really wanted somebody in a certain vein of a certain type of coach. So, and that's why those coaches have been who they are, which makes it curious of who they're going to hire now, because, it's hard to find this. I don't know. They have their eye on somebody. But anyway, that being aside, of any of the teams that could have come out and said anything, the Steelers had the room to do that. Going back to what happened with the Bills and what happened with the Ravens, that's so out of school. Now they own the team; they can do whatever they want to do. I can't afford to pay a traffic ticket, so that's what it is. So, but to me, as you said, Big Bob, there's a certain way you present yourself to the public as the team owner, and if someone who has given you that sort of success, all of a sudden on their way out, kind of give them a kick and a push, it's kind of cold. That being said, though. That being said, Buffalo, B-Ron, because of all the turmoil that Bob eloquently laid out for us, I'm having some struggles now, not just because of who them losing this year when they had probably, but when I was on record of saying I believe this is their best season to do it, but because of now what's going to come, the extended inner turmoil. Because guess what, we're up here doing this for you. I know they got the new stadium coming. I know, and that means, that means a bump in the revenue, an automatic bump in revenue, because they get a larger share of the profit sharing from the league, and also they get some cuts on taxes and stuff like that too. I'm not gonna make this a business episode, but that's one of the reasons that teams benefit from getting new stadiums. And we can actually do a whole episode on that, because I actually did a project on that when I was a junior advisor with the ownership group once for 7 days, and I kept the paperwork I was supposed to give back, so they can come get it now if you want to. But the reality for the Bills, if you're going to do this around a coach that was so close with his team, taking over his team the way he did from Rex Ryan, putting him in a position that they did, the kind of ball that they played, that he became beloved in the city, and you're going to come out and do that, you have now moved into Jets territory where everything's can become a hot mess fast. The difference is Buffalo is the size of basically half of Central Park. And that means that all that controversy and all that antagonism that you just brought is in a more concentrated area, so the fire is going to burn a little bit hotter. That's uncool. And so, B-Ron, I'm going to say it this way. I think that's going to have more to do with them not being able to get back right away than necessarily them not having the competition they normally have this particular season. So yes, I'm with you. I think this was their best year to do it, and I think that window is now closed completely now. With the ownership acting the way they do.
Yeah, and I like this question a lot because whenever I said earlier, don't let me forget about what I wanted to talk about. This question actually,
I got you.
It ties into this question. You look at what, jumping back, I had mentioned Brian Flores earlier with the Dolphins. He's going to be he's been a hot commodity for the past 2 seasons at head coach, and he has stuck with the Vikings. I think that he's also signed an extension. He signed an extension at the day of us recording this. He signed an extension, but still has the option to accept the head coaching job. I think he's going to be very cautious with that team because with what team that's going to be, because of what he went through with the Dolphins. Whether we all know he sued the NFL, all that. There's always 2 sides to every story. Nobody's given 100% accurate. So I'm not going to say Brian Flores didn't have any part in the dysfunction that happened there. Everybody plays a part in it somehow. However, with everything that he went through there, I think the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, obviously the Miami Dolphins, they're all out because of the way that they are openly trashing their former coaches. Especially, again, there's a good chance that he sticks with the Vikings again this season when, again, I think this is the second or third year. I believe this is the third year where I'm just like, okay, we're going to lose him. We're going to lose him.
Right.
Second year. It's second year. But it's like, we're going to lose him this year. I hate to lose him, but
there is something there with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something there with him that you cannot deny.
Yeah. So, but again, we do have to remember, just because somebody is a superstar coordinator does not mean they can handle the pressure of being a coach. Now, I don't think Brian Flores falls into that category. I think that he can handle the pressure of being a head coach. But what I don't get, what I wanted to talk about was how we are seeing these former head coaches or current coordinators passing up on these opportunities. Look at Mike McDaniel. He had multiple opportunities to be a head coach, and now
he just told some teams, "Don't talk to me." He just told it, "Don't want to talk to you."
He's going back to being an offensive coordinator. Now I do love that because I do think that some of these coaches think once they become a head coach, they're too good to go back. Now in the NFL, you don't see that as much. But I still think some of these guys do. They'll get a big head. It's like, I'm too good. I was a head coach. I'm too good to be anything but. But when you do have the opportunities there, and he did have those opportunities to continue being a head coach, he's like, I'll go back to being an offensive coordinator, at least for this season.
I'm going to say I think I know why. Why.
That's where I went. Why do you think?
Because that's what you pointed out earlier, by the way. So the answer was embedded in your conversation about what was going on with the Bills. I think coaches now realize I don't want to go to a dysfunctional organization because you don't get in a position to really show your worth when you're juggling 17 oily chainsaws that are on fire, 14 rotten apples, and then an owner with a broke leg. I think there's enough. So it's going to sound horrible because it's one of the things that we promised not to talk about. But I think, okay, here we go. Bob, if you were the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers and you hired me as your offensive coordinator, and I got an offer to go take the head coaching job in Cleveland, I'm probably going to stay with you even though there's a difference, because I've seen enough of that organization from the outside and probably know enough in the league to know that, man, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, and I keep thinking, and the other example I come up with this, by the way, congratulations to IU winning the national championship. I guess Penn State's going to win it next year. That's going to give the Big Ten four in a row. Hope I didn't jinx you. I hope I didn't jinx you.
Hey, listen, if they
but-
as tough as a year this was and how much talent we are losing, we have such an easy schedule next year that honestly 10 wins isn't out of the question. It should not be out of the question, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not.
Yeah. So all that being said, and I want to bring this back to Brian Flores too, because that's a great example. It's kind of like when Nick Saban, Kirby Smart got offered a coaching job. I forgot. It doesn't even matter what school it was. It was basically like some quasi mid-major school. And what happened was, and I apologize for this. I actually want to see something real quick. What happened was Kirby Smart went to Nick Saban, who had been with from his time at LSU, coach with the Dolphins, the whole nine. And Nick Saban said, "Listen, Kirby, you can take that job now, or you can stay with me, and maybe in a year or two get a real school like your alma mater." And sure enough, 1 year later, he ended up being with Georgia. And Kirby said that's one of the best delays he ever got. And I'm going to bring this back to Brian Flores. You remember one of the issues with him with the Dolphins was that
winning too much.
We're winning too much, but also keep in mind, Tua had a problem with him because he said he was too hard as a coach, blah all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like basically, he hurt my feeling. And what has come out since that time is how little Tua's teammates respect him. How Tua's the one late for meetings. Tua's the one that's not always on the ball. So it's interesting how, and I think of the Vernon Davis, Mike Singletary thing. If for those of you who might remember, Mike Singletary, when he was coaching in San Francisco, told Vernon Davis in the middle of a game, like, you know what, you can go home, basically, and get out of here.
Isn't that a game where he left? He did leave. I'm pretty sure
he did leave. Yeah. Yeah, he did leave, and then when it came up, because supposedly can't leave early without being fined, Singletary said, "No, I told him to leave because can't win with him because he have a lackluster attitude." Vernon Davis said that moment of Mike Singletary doing what he did made him the better player that he became because he realized how every possession mattered, which ties to Mike Singletary's career on the '85 Bears, undefeated, going into Miami. Mike Ditka and his buddy Ryan, Mike Ditka, Buddy Ryan, I forgot who the offensive coordinator was, but they went into this whole thing of they played shell offense, shell defense the entire game, and they ended up losing the game because everybody thought that the 85 Bears was going to be undefeated. See, I'm doing the history time thing here. I promise to come back to your question. and so that video of Mike Singletary on the sideline being blessed out by Mike Ditka, because Mike Ditka told me, when you grow a pair of blank and you're coaching your own team, you can make the blank decisions. But right now, this is my call, either go play or go home. So that sort of tying of like, I'm the coach, you let me do what I got to do thing has been a through line through players like Mike Singletary, from Mike Ditka, from Mike Singletary to Vernon Davis. And then in the middle of this, you get a player who I forgot who he played under, but similar sort of situation of how he was brought up as a coach, where he's going to coach that same way. And because Tua couldn't take it, ownership took the side of Tua as well too. Now, forget the whole thing about winning too much. So you have that tie-in. Flores walks away with the respect of everyone else. The Dolphins not only lose respect in the league, Tua loses respect on the team. So that being said, I think now, Bob, to be your offensive coordinator in a top flight organization is a bigger plus for me than being the head coach of a dysfunctional organization just because I have it on my resume. Because I might have it on my resume, but people say, "Wait, oh, you were the coach of the who? Oh, they suck." You know what I mean? And for the outside person, it's too hard to explain why you ended up sucking because all they see is the coach and the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I could see again. That's why I laughed about the whole thing of like, when the coach is, you know what? No, I don't want to talk to y'all because guess what? You guys are so jacked up. I don't be a part of you. And oh, by the way, it shows you another separation too, Bob. The owners aren't like they used to be, right? Where if you offer somebody a job or say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to give Big Bob this job right now, but I want you to consider him for your next head coaching job. That's kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore. Like they're all their own island now. You don't have that grooming ownership, camaraderie thing. You would call it collusion if you want to. I don't care. The rules don't even matter anymore. But you don't even have that anymore where it's like, guess what? If your team sucks, that's good for me. Because that means, especially if we're in the same division, bam, I got 2 guaranteed wins now because you suck, and I'll take it. So again, if I'm a coordinator, so I can see a coordinator saying, I'd rather be the opening act at the Garden than headlining at the TikTok end, to quote Frank Sinatra. So that's why I think, and I believe that answer came out with what you said. So part of my history lesson between that, I went Maestro on you. I apologize, but I think that speaks to where we are now in the league, where before I would take the head coaching job because it looks good for me. Now it's like, I'll take the head coaching job, but I want to be your head coach.
Yeah.
I'd rather be here as a coordinator because guess what? Coordinators get just as much play now between what's happening with social media, with more players now calling the games who will talk about the coordinators, with more podcasts. Like there's like 8,758,000 people, and there's 14 billion podcasts. So in the world,
but none of them are like us.
None of them are like us. That's right. We're unique because we got Gary and B-Ron. That's all I'm gonna say. We got Kai.
David Dory. We got everybody.
We got everybody, baby. So I really think that reality shapes those decisions to say, I'd rather be a coordinator and still have the NFL life than be a head coach with the strife of a bad organization where I can't even enjoy the NFL life, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, B-Ron, I think all that, just to go back and confirm, the window for the Buffalo Bills is closed.
Gone.
Just like Josh Allen will be in a couple years. Anyways, Maestro, do you have any?
I hope not. I really like him with Buffalo. I really want him to bring.
I like him a lot, but if JJ McCarthy falls apart in Minnesota, I would not be upset if they say, hey, Josh Allen's coming in, Joe Burrow's coming in. I wouldn't be upset with that. But
you know what? It's going to depend on the coach it's going to be the coach for JJ McCarthy, though. I'm sorry. It's going to be the coach because he needs to be with the right coach to help get him through, I think. Unless
Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer. I don't care who except he is the quarterback whisperer with an asterisk next to Max Brosmer.
Ooh, Bob with the body blows.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Max. I love my Vikings. I'm just poking fun. Fun.
Well, I mean, is that right? It's Skull, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But before we wrap up this episode, Maestro, you got it. Well, actually, but before we wrap it up, we got the 2 conference championship games this week. Yeah. We never made our predictions. We got Seahawks, Rams, Patriots, Broncos. Let's go. We've already talked about the Patriots and Broncos a lot. Who you got?
I got Patriots against the Rams. Yeah. And I have the Rams. It's just really hard because the Patriots play such smart ball. But I think, I think head up. I think the Rams have enough as of right now, unless something weird happens, to sort of bring home another ring for everybody involved, and then we'll see what happens with that organization after that.
Yeah, I got Patriots, Rams winning it all. Now, that said, I will absolutely be rooting for Sam Darnold to get himself a ring. I truly
I'm with you.
believe,
I'm with
yeah,
you.
I want, I want Sam Darnold
Yeah.
to get himself a
Yeah.
ring. I wish the Vikings would have kept him around, gave him
Yeah.
a real offer.
You know what
But
he means to me. You know what he means
yeah,
to me, right?
yeah.
You know, I think he was totally dogged out with my team, with my organization. I think he is one of the classic examples, going back to Mark Sanchez and more, that have come through. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Just man, the Jets can destroy some talented quarterbacks. Okay, I'm quiet. Go ahead, finish, Bob. I apologize. I had too much
No,
bass in my voice.
no, I really wished. I will always admit my bias to certain colleges or against certain colleges when it comes to certain
Mm-hmm.
positions. I
Yeah.
just do not, and I know I remember a Vikings fan getting on me because I said that I didn't trust Donovan Jackson because I don't trust offensive linemen from Ohio State and
Right.
And Minnesota. The Vikings have had terrible luck with Ohio State offensive linemen. So yes, not every single one is made the same, but you still have that thought in the back of your mind. You still have that bias. We all have biases,
Mm-hmm.
whether we want to admit it or
Mm-hmm.
not. And when it comes to those kind of things, it's like, okay, I don't trust an Ohio State lineman until they prove me, until that person can prove that they're going to be good there. And I do think Donovan Jackson is going to be a good player for us long term, but I don't have faith in
Mm-hmm.
Michigan quarterbacks. So it's not necessarily JJ McCarthy that I don't have faith in. It's the fact that he went to Michigan, and the last truly successful Michigan quarterback, and probably the only successful Michigan quarterback, was Tom Brady, who got drafted in the 6th round and should have. Nobody had any faith in him at all to do anything close to
Anything.
what he did. He was
The only one that did was Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells did, and that's why Bill Belichick took him as a thumb in the eye to Bill Parcells, because they picked him right before the Jets had a chance to pick, because that's who Parcells wanted to draft. But you know what's up? But listen, okay, see, here we go again. What you just said is what won me my biggest parlay ever as a radio person, and it was a matchup between it was supposed to be a lopsided matchup between the Eagles and I believe the Ravens at the time. I forgot what year it was, but what I did was all the other hosts in this particular group of radio hosts on the show were picking because of the quarterbacks and this, that, and third, and whatever. I looked at the linemen and I noticed the pattern. I noticed. I think at the time the Ravens were on the downswing, one of their few low points. I think it was early in Harbaugh's career where they were kind of like trying to get it back up a little bit, right? And I said, their linemen went to these schools and played against the other linemen for Philadelphia. And when you go back and think about those, because I was doing college ball at the time, so I was really into like the whole lineman matchup. And I said, when these guys matched up against each other in college, these teams won, and they were the linemen for the Ravens. And sure enough, I was the only one who picked the Ravens for that game, and they won. They won, and what all the experts said after that was it was because of the line play. So there's something to be said about what you just said. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it alone. See, that was quick.
And there was the time back when it was Nick Saban's Alabama teams when they brought in so many of these star players where it was essentially a pro team playing against college teams, and because
who was recruiting them? Kirby Smart was going out there and basically recruiting guys who were the size of like vending machines that could run like a sub 540.
But when you have all that talent and you're so much better than
Yep.
everybody else, sometimes you get a little complacent, and there is a good chance that the player from Alabama wasn't going to amount to much in the NFL. And that's, you never know. Once a player,
Right.
every
Right.
player is different. Every players are in person, but again, it's still the bias is there. But yeah, I have that. I have the bias for the Alabama players. Now, I mean, now college sports altogether, it is what it is. Everybody can pay everybody,
Right.
and I still think we still got to do we did our NIL. episode, but I still have a lot to say about it, and it gets worse and worse by the day. But yeah, we both picked the Rams to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but hope Sam Darnold gets himself a ring. Former Minnesota Vikings legend Sam Darnold,
former Jets media superstar darling, him and his mom.
Well, do you have any final words for the people, Maestro?
Just I love you, brother. Appreciate everybody for checking us out and watching. All the support, all the questions, everything else that you guys do for us. It really makes a difference. I know that I say that every time, and please know it's coming from a place in my heart where it means a lot. And you even heard how even when we tried to do a single topic episode, me and my boy Bob can go. Because it's just listen, wait. One day he and I are gonna do like a live show together, like around some food. It's probably gonna be like 9 hours. It's probably gonna be like a Ken Burns documentary where you have to give it in a box set, right? A DVD box set. But
hey, no,
seriously, no.
We should let the people know that we are. What was that? April? Maybe in April.
Yes.
We're gonna
maybe in April.
You guys are gonna see us on. You guys are gonna see us on the same screen, one screen.
Yes.
Have our show there. Maybe do some live TikToks there. But again, we do plan on. We say this every single week, but we do think we're gonna try and do a live TikTok every single Monday here in the near future.
Yes.
Just let us know. Maybe we'll do it for about an hour or so. But just let us know. That'll just be us hanging out, talking sports and whatever else everybody wants to talk about. But Maestro, I appreciate you as always. I appreciate everybody here that listens, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their week.